Hi, I'm Susan from Worldpeacefull, and this morning I was contemplating peace and the oscillations in life too, where we're up and down. And I was reflecting on the truth does indeed set you free, because whenever you hear real truth, you find peace. Something within you knows what peace is. And we kind of grapple for it in our unconscious way, not really observing ourselves, typically reacting from one thing to another. I guess part of the work of peace really is to become more conscious, is to observe oneself, is actually the real purpose of the peace work. It's not really about others. Although we share, as we love others, we share the highest part of ourselves, and that really does come from a stream of love. But are the words really mine? Well, because I get inspired, I'm not sitting down planning the words I write, they just come and I write them down. I'm a fast typer. It's not, some people might say that's automatic writing. No, it's not. What I do is I typically just get a feeling that I'm either going to write or read something. And I'm a person who pretty much follows whatever I feel. If I feel something, I act on it. I don't just, put it to the side where a lot of people probably do, because they've got other pressing things that they feel they need to take responsibility for. I have the luxury of not having those things. I'm pretty free. So this philosophy/poem that I'm reading for you is called Can You Function, Adapt and Sustain Peace? Humanity, are you sleeping still? Are you still sleeping? On awakening there is no thought, a drought of doubt from dark to light. Does the world exist on awakening the dream? Is peace the 0 point? For there is no point of attraction when awaiting potentials as natural selection. It is to waken perchance to dream, or to dream perchance to awaken, which is real, when you are freed from fear. As I travel the world, I observe schools of thought incubating, global media percolating possible realities, as fear bubbles up in unquestioned paradigms without rhyme or reason. Thought bubbles schooled by fools, narratives scripted, norming and forming consent, looking for what is wrong, the gap, the critique. As you seek, you'll find whatever you believe you see, as the glass is half empty, when in reality it is full of infinite potential. When we choose love over hate as our fate. You can be the master of your reality or the slave of another's insanity. You can create your life anew or allow life to shrivel on the vine, drinking another wine before closing time. We are here to live to our full potential. We are here to voice and shine our highest light. For to fight wields resistance and isolation. To allow yields inspiration as compensation. For you cannot fight what loving kindness. To no longer resist frees humanity from endless wars of aggression that are pointless zero-sum games. Only 0 point returns to first principles, and truth is non-negotiable law. As the universe does not barter for greed as need, it exists to fulfill all seed funding. The dash between fun and ding. As one gives, another receives. To receive is to allow another to give. This is the universal dance of symmetry. a sacred geometry of a spiraling torus. When in balance, yielding infinite iterations. Out of balance, poverty trap empty of substance. Taking more than giving yields untold misery. For this is the great secret of a sacred life. For living to give is the global peace charter that charts a new course in miracles. For our world is not logical or linear, ordered to make sense. It is creative and sincere without pretense, an eternal essence expanding, as functionality, adaptability, and sustainability are the three horsemen, or women, I have to throw that in, blind to difference, deaf to discrimination, speaking truth as a talisman, for there are no problems, only solutions breaking through the hard earth into the light of a new day. Finding not the missing link, but the puzzle in peace. As peace becomes the puzzle solved, when we adapt to our true nature, allowing, forgiving, loving, and giving to life without fear or favour. To serve the whole is to serve the self. To serve the self is to serve the whole. For there is no separation in unity consciousness. Learning to adapt to the moment, not the culture. Adjusting to new information without justification. As life is the teacher and you are the student, gifted with degrees of freedom. For to love life is to trust energy response as change rearranges the stage of the future. To flow and not fight is the path of least resistance. It is not a treaty or negotiated settlement. For peace has no control, no role, nor demands any rights. It doesn't fight for any plight as right. It exists in the moment of E equals mc squared in relativity. Nature's selectivity is a harmony of the spheres. Sustainability is the whole sending spirals, signals to the interconnected parts. Leaves fall, colours change, aromas circulate, temperatures regulate, the planet rotates. In a rhythm of love that is the universe, singing the one verse. Loving motion, emotion is love. To love is to unify is energy in motion. A loving emotion that is not digital nor analog. It is to remove the log out of your own eye to see clearly there is no problem in your life. Opening your eyes to intimacy as immortality. Into me see. Into me see is clarity. Revealing the inside out. As life is a synergistic energy exchange. Giving to take, taking to give. Equally unto infinity. As the one song harmonizes Love Actually. To know this song is to know the real life. It is a leaf on a breeze, the wind tickling your hair, to live without a care as life living you with ease. It is to be free of the dream and dreaming free, returning to the reality beyond what is believed. That's my poem. That was when I read these poems out and record them. I actually read them only once, and that's when I read them out, when I record them. So I'm actually, as I'm reading it, I'm remembering what was shared. And what this reminded me of was this morning I was actually thinking about living to give. I was actually thinking about truth as well. And this was probably 5 o'clock this morning. I was thinking about this. the truth sets you free. And what I was actually pondering was, I was actually imagining myself doing a video on that subject of giving. So starting off with the idea that the truth is that, economics in truth doesn't exist. In nature, it doesn't exist at all. It is very much a free system of giving and taking in an interchangeable energy exchange, as the sum of the parts is the whole in nature. Everything is feeding everything. There's not one thing that doesn't belong, and if there is, say, a genetic flaw, then typically the species dies out. So again, it's that one song that I've referred to in here is really the harmony. I'm thinking of the spheres comes to my mind. We're on a sphere. This is an atmosphere as well. It's all the one breath. So what I think this all means is that the title of this poem was Can You Function, Adapt and Sustain Peace? So clearly the environmental, natural reality of who we are is framing this poem, if you like. But I'm putting peace in there because nature is peace. They're not separate. It's not like I'm going to go off and do peace work and then I'm going to go off and talk about sustainability. They're actually one and the same thing. You cannot have one without the other. Nature itself already sustains. It's proven it for 4 billion years. We humans are starting to use terminology like this, but we don't understand what it truly means because we don't have a sense of the whole. We only have a sense of our own little tiny reality that's around us and the various pressures that are bearing down on us. But what I was contemplating this morning was, I was actually remembering walking into a shop, and because I'm trained in economics, I was actually reflecting on it, the idea of ownership at the time. And I walked into the shop and I just sort of consciously picked up a product and made the mental note, this is not mine, until I exchange something that the other accords value to, such as money. This is not mine. I can pick it up, I can look at it, belongs to the shop, in terms of the economic environment that we've shaped. So then consciously I picked it up and I took it to the counter and observed myself giving the money and the person taking the money and then getting change, and that product's mine. This was the birth of ownership as a concept and a reality. But outside of that intellectual framework, person walks to counter with something in hand, passes something to someone, someone passes it back, the person takes that thing and leaves. That could just be giving and taking. The difference is that we accord value to it and we have to do something in exchange for it. So money, of course, is the medium of exchange. That's what we call it. And if you have a lot of money, you can do lots of mediums of exchange. It's usually not medium, it's maximum. And if you don't have money, then you can't. And this is how we build inequality into the system, in that some people may not have enough and some people have a lot. And people see how they are living. If you're a poor person, you'll live in a poor part of town and you'll notice that it's usually in disrepair. The houses are not very nice. You go inside, they're all run down. Those people are not being able to access education equally. And so their reality becomes one of I'm less than the world, and I might become aggressive as a result of that because I feel angry that a lie is being played out, because that's really what it is. It's a lie playing out. It's a pretense, and I talked about pretense in here in this poem that I wrote. So to serve the whole is to serve the self. To serve the self is to serve the whole. Those are the ones who are in a unity type consciousness. They won't be looking down at someone whom they're perceiving as less than. They will be seeing everything as a reflection of themselves, and nature is the same. The tree does not think the grass is less than it. The sky does not see itself over and above the land. They're all part of the one system, having exchanges. And it's so sensitive to change that it just very quickly exchanges as a result of signals that are sent throughout nature. So it's receiving and sending signals without a story. It just knows instinctively to release this or to take that, you know. That is how incredible the system is that we're living in. It's a form of reality. Some would say that the reality is life itself. But we humans, because we feel the separation from nature and ourselves, we have constructed systems that reflect that separation and that reflect that inequality. It reflects the imbalance. So the imbalance is really, in my view, from what I'm understanding, is to do with the ego. And the ego is very much about serving self. It's not about serving others. And we get varying degrees of that ego expressing, from those who are completely selfish to those who are selfless. Even they are exhibiting aspects of ego, because that's the state that we humans are living in. And that's why things are looking out of balance on the planet. It's because we have lost connection to the true dance of nature. We've lost that sense of universal symmetry. We've not understood yet at the idea that it's the giving that yields abundance. It's not the taking. The more you give, the more you get. Because you're sending a signal to life, which is dynamic, that you're abundant. That's why people talk about the law of attraction. They talk about what you think about, you bring about. And what that's really saying is the more you focus on this abundance, that you see yourself abundantly, you don't see yourself as small and weak and unable to cope with life. You see yourself as infinite potential. That's how you become harmonizing with the natural world. And in fact, whilst I'm reflecting on this, what I'm seeing is that what is deemed the New Age or the mystical thinking, you can really reframe it as just really connecting to our true nature. It really is. Because the minute you start to see the other as yourself, that's the moment you step into unity consciousness, and that is nature. So we could even drop all the labels of New Age or mystics or religion or whatever. It's when anybody returns to who they are, which is you are one with all of it. No one's better or worse than you. What you give to another will return to the self. We are all one. This is what mirrors the planet itself. And this is the very essence of what creates the functionality, the adaptability, and the sustainability of peace, which is really where we need to go if we're really serious about creating homeostasis on the planet. We do definitely have to learn to think differently. We have to step out of the old paradigms that are no longer working. And I think everyone knows that this is true, but many don't know how to step out. Where I would encourage you to go is to start to access the arts, the creative within you. Whenever you feel emotions, positive emotions, you're starting to align with the one, the oneness. Stillness is very important too. When you start to connect to what's still within you, it allows your inner innate wisdom to arise. That's where it comes from. Because our true essence is actually connected to the one essence of life itself. That is who we are. But the ego and the personas and the very masks, the filters that we have, can separate us from the lived reality that you're one with all of it. So in truth, what you do to others will return to you. And that's not a punishment, that's just a universal energy response, is what it really is. So we have a lot to learn, but I think people are starting to awaken on the planet. I think we're all starting to realise that we have to come into alignment with the natural order. Otherwise, the planet can't sustain us. If everybody lives like the United States, you need another 4 planets. That's not possible unless we move off planet. But there aren't that many inhabitable planets in the solar system, if any. So maybe we have to do the hard work of really challenging the status quo in a nice way, in a positive way. And living by example is probably the best way. People will change when they're ready. If they're not ready, then no point making them suffer to change. For them, what they're doing may be right for them at this time. So none of us can know the path of another, and none of us can tell other people that you should be living like I live. They shouldn't. They should live as they live. That's peace and harmony. That's what we're here to learn. Live and let live, and give to live. So thank you again for being with me. I send you peace and love and unity. And may we find the true balance within ourselves in order to make peace with our true nature. Thanks. Bye.